20 teams to go on my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. We are moving on to the Ball State Cardinals, a team that had a breakout year in 2020. Yet 2021 revealed some disappointing results for this Ball State team. Now, last season, there was a lot of solid talent here. There were some solid pieces that are since going to be gone off of this team, and we will talk about them when they get there. A couple pretty huge pieces in the defensive end, a couple key pieces offensively gone as well. Now, this is the Ball State team that, while what they're losing, they still expect to be competitive in the Mid-American Conference. So will Ball State take a step forward and be one of the better teams in the Mid-American Conference yet again? Or will this be a Ball State team that maybe even takes another step back in 2022? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, and chances are I've already done your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button, go through my channel. I have playlists where you can find your favorite team. But hey, if you don't find it there, then no worries. After you're done watching this video, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when your favorite team gets uploaded. For fans of the Ball State Cardinals out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot better than I do. So if you feel like I missed something and you want to add something, leave it in the comment section down below. I'd be happy to hear what you guys have to say. Let's talk about the Cardinals in 2022. My 9th-ranked team in the Mid-American Conference coming into the 2022 college football season. They were 6-7 last year. Did end up making a bowl game. They were 4-4 in conference. Did end up losing that bowl game, though. However, again, after what they did in 2020, pretty disappointing year in 2021. And this offense struggled at times last year, and overall just was one of the worst offenses in the Mid-American last season, or towards the bottom of the conference. 334 yards per game with around 24.5 points per game. That's it. This was a fairly solid offense in 2020, and it took a huge nosedive last season. Now, defensively, while the numbers are not fantastic, they're definitely not horrible. Allowed 415 yards per game with around 26.5 points per game. So solid numbers on defense, but this offense has got to get better for this Ball State team to be competitive in the Mid-American Conference with all they've lost, because they are losing their starting quarterback in Drew Plitt. Had 2,541 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions in 2021 for this team. And he just barely equaled his numbers, or just barely surpassed his numbers, I should say, from 2020, where he did almost the exact same thing in a smaller sample size, in a shorter season. So Drew Plitt, that is a really, really good quarterback talent leaving this Ball State team, and those are some big shoes to fill at the quarterback position. A fullback in Cody Rudy has gone, to my knowledge, no rush yards last year, but did have, I believe, about 100 or so receiving yards. You do lose a pretty key all-around offensive weapon in Justin Hall. Had 255 rush yards, 6 touchdowns, was the team's 3rd leading rusher, and was the team's 2nd leading receiver with 613 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. You also lose some other pieces like Jalen McGaughey, Trevor Holt off the wide receiver end, and off the tight end position, Jordan Williams and Dylan Cook are a couple names you'll see leaving the tight end position. In the defensive line, you'll have Jordan Ward, who leaves this team. Did have a sack a season ago. Anthony Ekpe out of the linebacker room had 3.5 sacks, 16 tackles last year. But your 2 biggest losses on the linebacking group are Jalen Thomas, who had 112 tackles, 4 interceptions last year, both of which led the team, and Christian Albright, another solid linebacker who had 2 sacks on 64 tackles last year. In the defensive back position, you lose another 100 total tackler in Bryce Cosby, who had 108 last year, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions. Brett Anderson is also a name that's going to be gone, and JT Wahi, who also had 2 interceptions from a season ago. Now, looking what is coming back for this Ball State team, well, again, Drew Plitt, those are some big shoes to fill at the quarterback position, and they're going to have to try to be filled by a guy by the name of John Pack. Now, only threw 26 passes a season ago, had 132 yards and 1 interception for this team. Not a great overview, and not a great sample size for John Paddock, so my opinion of him is very limited. I do not think he is as good as Drew Plitt, but again, I think a lot of that remains to be seen. We'll see how Paddock plays at the quarterback position for this Cardinals team. You do return your top 2 rushers from last year, Carson Steele at 891 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's a huge get back, as well as the second stringer in Will Jones, who had 88 carries, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Solid option there in the backfield for Ball State. In the wide receiver room, well, Jaysean Jackson, was the leading receiver last year at 829 yards, 5 touchdowns for this team. And you also returned Johannes Tyler, who had 487 yards and led the team with 6 receiving touchdowns from last season. You're also getting a pretty substantial transfer coming over to this team, and Amir Abdur-Rahman over from Vanderbilt. That's a solid pickup for this Ball State team. Really is a solid pickup. Ryan Lazan should end up being that tight end for Ball State this upcoming season. In the defensive side, well, Josh Tarango, Tavian Woodard, Jack Sape. Couple names you'll see on the defensive line. Tarango, 27 tackles. Woodard, 4.5 sacks a season ago. And some other pieces I could name on the defensive line coming back as well. Brandon Martin comes back as a linebacker. Only had 20 tackles last year. I think can do a whole lot more at that linebacker position this year. Clayton Cole, who had 93 tackles, also 2 interceptions for this Ball State team. And Cole Pierce, another name you'll see at the linebacker position. And the defensive backside, Malcolm Lee had 2 interceptions a season ago, along with 50 tackles. He comes back, as well as a guy whose name I'm going to butcher, I promise you, Amechi Uzadinma. That's what I'm going with. I know it's probably not right, but you have him coming back at the defensive back side of things as well. So you need to fill that quarterback play, but the skill core, the skill corp around John Paddock is very, very solid, as well as this defense, while you are losing a couple really, really key pieces, have lots of talent coming back as well. Taking a look at this Ball State schedule for 2022, man, there are some hard, and interesting games on the schedule. So Ball State in non-conference play has to go on the road to play Tennessee. That game is on a Thursday in week 1, but it is not going to be an easy game for Ball State to win. By any stretch of a mile, Tennessee projects to be pretty solid this year in 2022. That is a Tennessee team that has a Heisman candidate quarterback in Hendon Hooker. Watch out for the Volunteers this year. Home games against Murray State and UConn. UConn's a team that is improving, but I don't think is going to match the Ball State quite yet this year. And Murray State, an FCS team, Ball State should be able to win. Then an interesting non-conference game. On the road against Georgia Southern. They're bringing Clay Helton in to be that head coach. I would watch out for the Eagles this year, because that is going to be a team that, while I don't think they're going to make a bowl game this year, I do think that some big improvements are coming to that Georgia Southern program. Otherwise, when you look in conference play, you have home games against Western Michigan, Northern Illinois, Eastern Michigan, and Ohio. Games on the road against Central Michigan, Kent State, Toledo, and Miami of Ohio. So taking a look a little bit deeper at this Cardinals schedule. Again, Tennessee going to be a hard game to win. It's on the road in Neyland Stadium, and that is a Tennessee team that is supposed to have a very, very solid football club that, if everything goes right, could end up making a run towards the SEC championship game and winning the SEC East. It is a long shot. You still have Georgia, Kentucky in that division, but Tennessee is going to be competitive in SEC play this year. Georgia Southern, as I've said, I think some big changes are coming to Georgia Southern. If not this year, then next year or the year after that, with Clay Helton coming in to be that head coach. Didn't have the biggest amount of success at USC. I think you and me both know that. But looking at that Georgia Southern team, lots of solid pieces there. Improvement should be made in 2022. Otherwise, should be able to beat Murray State, UConn. I think those are going to be some fairly solid wins for this team. Otherwise, when you look elsewhere across the board at the MAC conference play, notice they play the 8 teams that I don't have a video for yet on my channel as of uploading this Ball State video. And that is because they're all ahead of them in my power rankings. These are not going to be easy wins for Ball State in conference play. I mean, Western Michigan, yes, they're losing Caleb Ellaby. Yes, they're losing Sky Moore. Lots of solid talent is still there, though, and that's a Western Michigan team that can very well find themselves back in a bowl game in 2022. Northern Illinois won the conference last year, and they returned Rocky Lombardi at quarterback. That's not going to be an easy game for Ball State to win, even though they get it at home. Central Michigan on the road, one of the favorites in the Mid-American Conference this upcoming season. They have one of the best backs in the country in Lou Nichols. Eastern Michigan, that's a team hovering right around bowl game threshold. Maybe Ball State can pull off a little bit of an upset there and win that one. Otherwise, then once you start to play on the Tuesdays, you have some very tough road games against Kent State, Toledo, and Miami of Ohio. All teams that can end up pushing for a spot in the conference championship game. and then Ohio at home, which may very well prove to be your easiest conference game. Ohio's a team that's not going to be great next year, but should make at least some improvement from where they were last year. Now, I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based outlook, and that helps me predict the team's record. So if the game's in red, I just don't see you winning the game. If the game is in orange, I still don't see you winning, but it is college football, and upsets can happen. Yellow, 50-50 high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but watch out for the team on the other side of the ball. In games in green, I have you winning. So probably should be able to beat Murray State, should be able to beat UConn there, and should be able to beat Murray State, should be able to beat UConn. Those are kind of the only two really guaranteed wins I see on the schedule. They're not going on the road and beating Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. Sorry, Cardinals fans, it's just not happening. Tennessee is going to be very, very, very good this upcoming season. When you take a look elsewhere across the board, Georgia Southern is a team that piques my interest because Georgia Southern, a team that, again, is making some improvements this year. Not going to be a non-conference game that people are going to tune into with their popcorn and wings beside them, but that is a non-conference game that I'm very intrigued in watching because I want to see how this Ball State team looks next year. And, well, Georgia Southern, I want to see what improvements they've made. I think that'll be a good test for both programs, but I'm leaning towards the side of the Eagles in that game. And when you take a look here at conference play, well, again, I think it's going to be tough for them to win any non-conference game now. Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan, Ohio. I think if you're going to want to look for a win in Mid-American Conference play, I think you need to look to those three games. Central Michigan is going to be really good this year with the way their quarterback played last year, with the way Lou Nichols played last year. That's going to be a very, very hard team to play. Kent State, even though they lose Dustin Crum, still has a lot of nice talent on that team. They should be solid this year. Toledo, one of the front runners in their division. Northern Illinois, one of the front runners in their division. Miami of Ohio, one of the front runners in their division. This is a hard conference schedule for Ball State, for the talent that's on this Ball State team. Now, their skill core should be able to win them a conference game, and maybe two. And I think more likely, I see this Ball State team getting 2 wins in conference. But on top of this being just a hard conference schedule, and with quarterback playing being a big unknown up to this point for the Ball State Cardinals, I'm not real confident in this team quite yet. I do think they can make a bowl game. I think the ceiling is 6-6, but my prediction is going to be 4-8 for the Ball State Cardinals. I think they have some solid talent on the defensive end. They're losing some of their bigger pieces on the offensive end. And Drew Plitt, those are some pretty hefty shoes by Ball State standards at the quarterback position to fill. I think this Ball State team is going to struggle here in 2022, but if they can return a lot more talent coming into 2023, I think this can easily be a Ball State team we see back in bowl game play. I can see it this year. That's just not my prediction. I predict a 4-8 season for the Ball State Cardinals. Let me know what you guys think about this team in the comments section below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Anything like that does help support the channel. And remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.